Alright, ladies, game number 2. We have currently a situation where ZergZingZing, our Zerg player that we saw in the last best of 3 successful against the Protoss player, finds himself down one game against his Terran opponent. ZergZingZing starting to the top of Polar Night here, and starting to the bottom of the map, we currently see Avilo, who won in the first game on Frost with a mech death ball. And that is the problem that you quite often have as a Zerg player. If a Terran plays mech, he usually plays a little bit more passive than he would with Bio. With Bio, you're going to hit your medevac timings, you're going to try to drop your opponent, whereas with mech, the objective is more to stay safe on 3, preferably 4 bases, get that massive army up, get good upgrades, and then get a really big, huge army and just move out and steamroll your opponent. So ZergZingZing did basically, I don't want to say everything right, but he had a really good game there. I mean, taking the entire map, taking bases everywhere, getting a great economy up, and then just making sure that he was always trying to harass. He was trying to make the Mutalisks work with double upgrades, but it didn't really work out as well as he hoped for. And I feel, personally, what really lost him the game is I would have gotten a couple of Swarm Hosts there. They are great against mech with the Vipers in addition for blinding clouds. You can protect them a little bit because of course a meching Terran is going to have Ravens for detection. Broodlords later on are going a long way, but it's very difficult, like granted. If you're going up against a lot of Ravens with Seeker missiles, it's very difficult to make it happen. And my personal opinion is that Ultralisks, as a rule of thumb, suck against mech. They can be great, very situational, depends on if you get a good position, like on a broad open space, but it's very underestimated, I feel, how strong mech units are against Ultralisks, especially Thors. If you have a couple of choke points, or it doesn't even have to be choke points, but just an area where the Ultralisks don't get the perfect surface area for their attacks, then only a few of them will attack, and with the Thors having a bit of range, you can take down and focus down Ultralisks really fast. So I'm personally not a huge fan of massive Ultralisk commitment. I think that it can be great, but not always, like not right at the beginning. So I feel other units are a little bit better for that. Don't get me wrong, Ultralisks definitely have their place and they can be strong against mech. I just don't like this idea of always going Ultralist if you are faced with a mech composition, because I think that a good mech Terran player will give you a very tough time when you play Ultralist, especially if he has good upgrades. But right now, we have the situation where Avilo is now just once again going for the double gas here and trying to just find out what's going on, but also opening up with Reapers here with a barracks that he proxied right over here. So that will give him a little bit of early aggression against his opponent. And as I said already, I think that in terms of like the macro and everything, ZergZingZing did a good job in the last game, but I personally feel that his composition was lacking a little bit and would like to see something different from him in this game. Also, the upgrades could have been a little bit faster. But you could really see that the aggression that he wanted to execute with the Mutalisks didn't really do a whole lot because Avilo played so safe. And if you have a Terran player who is not afraid to dedicate a lot of minerals to missile turrets to deal with the threat of Mutalisks in the game and has the extra Thors, it's very, very tricky to really make this work. So, not really a lot happening here. We have those Reapers in the game, and this is actually a heavy Reaper commitment that we see here. It's a 4th Reaper already being built, and with 4 Reapers, I'm very interested to see how much damage he can do here, because that is starting to threaten the Queens too. But he saw the Reapers already, and those Zerglings will be out there very soon. They just don't have speed yet, and that is also very threatening. So already the hits at the Queen, taking down a second Harvester. So far so good, but that's a huge commitment. And we have a Spinecrawler in the main base. ZergZingZing looking at this and being like, what, 4 Reapers? Alright, Spinecrawler time it is. Here come those factories that we of course expect from Avilo, and also the 3rd base that's coming in. So once more, trying to play his style here. And to be quite honest with you, I know that a lot of people will disagree here. I kind of like that. It's a little bit of a douchebag move. That's at least what a lot of people will think about it, and can be very annoying. But, I mean, whatever does the trick, whatever pays the bills, I guess. And with a style like this, you can be super annoying, but it is a successful style, and you need to have that certain level of patience to really execute that. Mech is not as easier to play as a lot of people might think, and I'm very curious to see if Avilo can really make it work in game number 2 as well, or if ZergZingZing is starting to turn things around now. Infernal Pre-Igniter has a nice touch to it, something that we didn't see in the first game. Actually, I'm not quite sure about that. I think he got the upgrade too. But the Roach Warren is already being built, and also the wall here at the front with the second Spinecrawler being present. And that's what you want to have as Zerg. Having that wall here at the front, having the Roach Warren, just making sure that you have something against this composition. And as I mentioned before, early Roach or early mech attacks are best being thrown back if you have a Roach Warren. A fourth base immediately coming up. I mean, even before we have the third command center on the low ground, Avilo goes straight into another command center here. And the Roaches are now being built, but only a few. That's the anti-Hellion Roach force. That's a bit of a task force that you have there. And ZergZingZing doesn't have a third base. Just think back in game number 1, where we had ZergZingZing going into double hatch before pool. That gave him a huge lead in economy. And this game, he doesn't have that economy. He has the fast attack, and yes, that's going to help him a little bit. But of course, the opening in the last game was much better for him. On the other hand, we also have to note that Avilo didn't go into the command center first, that he used in game number 1. So both of them with a little bit more of a tech-oriented game, trying to get the tech out a little bit faster. But I would say that in game 1, ZergZingZing got the better opening. For now, we have the Zerg player just trying to take it up a little bit faster, and maybe even a little bit more aggressive than he did in the first game. And that's gonna work, at least for now. You can already see that he's able to force a lift on the command center here, and that's good for him, because he delays the income a little bit. But he can't delay it for all that long, just because we have another siege tank already coming in, and the siege tanks will slowly push the Roaches back. And yeah, but there's oh my god, I didn't even see that. That is beautiful. Not only black is beautiful, guys. Overlords with a fast tech into lair that deny a third base, or a natural actually to a Terran player, those are beautiful too. Because there is just no anti-air. Now he's forced to build a Viking, and that's a Viking that he didn't want to build. But suddenly he has to build that Viking, and that means that this base is going to be delayed by so much. I really like this quite a lot. That was a very, very smart move. It's one of these small things that you can do, and it really worked well for him here. So once again, the Spire coming in. At the same time, we have this third base being attacked. The Roach is already on the move. Not a whole lot of those, though, but with the additional Spinecrawlers, maybe enough to throw that back. Spinecrawlers getting position, and here come more Roaches, so that should be okay. That is gonna throw at least the Hellions off guard a little bit, and potentially also taking down those siege tanks, since we have reinforcements coming in. And there's the GG! Avilo realizing that with a late expansion, that with the Zerg player being on 3 bases, denying his own natural, he has no chance to come back into this, throwing his entire army away. That didn't do anything. And ZergZingZing, look at that. Small moves and a really nice grasp on the game, takes control and wins game number 2, clenches out a victory and forces Avilo into a third game. Well played. Let's see what game number 3 is gonna hold for us. Who is gonna take it? Who's gonna advance here at the WCS America Qualifier?